I'm Yasmin Gagne.
I'm Josh Christensen.
And this is Most Innovative Companies. On today's episode, Josh and I go to an Amazon fulfillment center to see how they're preparing for the busiest time of their year.
Like, it's low to the ground, but it's like the size of a football stadium, like a sports stadium.
Then we talk about all the robots we saw with Amazon Robotics Chief Technologist Ty Brady.
And it's really important that we really, as a society, pledge to upskill our employees.
And as always, keeping tabs.
And it's basically the premise of the website is such a great, send up. It's a joke, everybody. It's such a great send up of, corporate PR.
But first, here's the download. The news you need to know this week in the world of business and innovation.
Intel CEO Patrick Gelsinger resigned on Monday. The once successful tech giant has ceded ground in recent years to rivals, including dominant AI chipmaker and MIC company NVIDIA. In other CEO resignation news, Carlos Tavares resigned as CEO of Stellantis, which owns Chrysler and Jeep. The company is one of the largest automakers in the world. His resignation came amid a decline in profits and slumping sales in its key North American region.
And speaking of cars, the Biden administration announced that it would lend almost $7 billion to help build battery factories to supply vehicles made by Stellantis.
Build back better.
The loan would finance 2 battery plants in Indiana that are being built by StarPlus Energy. It's part of the administration's effort to create domestic supplies of batteries. But of course, President-elect Trump has vowed to reverse Biden administration policies aimed at promoting EV manufacturing.
I know EVs are good for the environment, but
They make me car sick.
Yeah.
They make me unbelievably car sick.
It seems like a thing.
No, it's a thing.
Right?
If you Google it, it's like people have written about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the braking system, I think.
Yeah.
Teslas are pure hell for me.
Yeah, I took an Uber ride home yesterday from the airport, and I got so car sick on the way back.
It's crazy.
Granted, I was coming from Newark, so odds were pretty good that I'd get car sick anyways.
Had a shit ton of Coke.
I had a shit ton of Coca-Cola products. Stay tuned for Brand New World coming in feed soon here, where you get to hear me drink a lot of Coca-Cola with Jeff Beer.
Imagine if I was actually talking about cocaine.
We'll get to Hunter Biden later. Gonna take a hard left transition here because we got to talk about a coup attempt in South Korea, or a potential coup. It's a weird story, but we're going to focus on. There's some business implications to what's happening in South Korea because a number of big companies are based there, including Samsung. But if you haven't heard, South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol faced parliamentary moves to impeach him after he sent heavily armed forces into Seoul's streets with his baffling and sudden declaration of martial law that was reminiscent of many of the country's past dictatorships. After public outcry, he did reverse it.
Thousands of German Volkswagen workers walked off their jobs.
Speaking of problematic dictatorships, Germany.
Thousands of German Volkswagen workers walked off their jobs for several hours on Monday. This comes after news that the automaker is seeking to cut wages by 10% and threatening to close factories in Germany. The unionized workers demanded that Volkswagen guarantee their jobs and keep its factories open. They threatened longer strikes if their demands were not met.
The Biden administration announced a move to end a program that allowed companies to pay workers with disabilities less than the federal minimum wage, which was a policy I wasn't aware of.
Yeah,
it is
and feels
real messed up.
Very
right?
crazy. Yeah.
That's insane. The federal minimum wage, to remind you, just because it's shockingly low, is still just $7.25 an hour. On Tuesday, the Labor Department proposed a rule that would bar new certificates and phase out current ones over 3 years.
Why that takes 3 years? Why that takes 3 years is very confusing to me.
But the last two stories have a common theme. Pay your workers.
Yep.
Pay them fair, pay them well.
Now, we have some very sad news. Brian Thompson, the chief executive of United Healthcare, one of the nation's largest health insurers, was fatally shot outside a hotel in Midtown Manhattan on Wednesday morning. At the time of recording, the story is still developing.
And that's the news you need to know today.
So, Josh, we took a little trip a few weeks ago.
We did, to the magical land of Wilmington, Delaware.
Now, it wasn't exactly our destination, but we did go to a humongous Target.
We did go to a humongous Target.
To get Starbucks. But that was just a stop on our way to
There it is. Can you describe where we're going?
We are going to an Amazon, is it called a fulfillment center? It's basically a
fulfillment
warehouse.
center.
So whenever you order something on Prime, it will come from one of these places, and they're across the country. So yeah, we'll see what it's like.
Had you ever seen a facility like this before, Yaz?
Not like this. I mean, the closest thing I've seen is the New York Times printing plant. They took us there when I was an intern, which was very cool.
Wow, what an exciting field trip.
I actually thought it was sick. I remember it was like early days of Instagram, and I took a lot of videos of like conveyor belts of paper.
It was back in the day where you were still in college and you were a comparative lit major, and you must have been like, the written word.
Mm-hmm. But the first thing that struck me about this fulfillment center is the sheer size of the complex. I mean, this thing's humongous.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Like, it's low to the ground, but it's like the size of a football stadium, like a sports stadium, like just not as tall.
Yeah.
Hi, we're journalists from Fast Company magazine. We had a tour set up with by Andy Slaughter, Christensen, and then Gagne.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't exactly know why, but I got really overwhelmed arriving there. It also didn't help that there was this person behind it. Do you remember the person behind us at security that was just beeping at us to get in?
How could I forget?
On their way to their shift.
Security situation there is quite stressful, must be said.
It is very stressful. But we arrived, we parked, we headed in. Well, we headed in after a very long walk from the parking lot past the recruitment center. And okay, so we should probably explain why we're at this Amazon fulfillment center in Delaware the day after the election of all days.
So we got laid off. Just kidding. Joke.
We were there for our new jobs. This is now Pirate Radio, Fast Company, MIC.
We're actually recording this inside a fulfillment center. Cyber Monday through Christmas is the busiest time of the year for Amazon and most online retailers. Fulfillment centers hire seasonal employees to handle the surge of packages that are coming through. And we wanted to know what happens to those employees after the season ends. There's also been a lot written about working conditions in these facilities. A while ago, I read Nomadland, maybe you saw the Oscar-winning movie, which described some of the strain and injury that seasonally employed senior citizens were incurring. So I was kind of interested in getting a look inside the beast. We also wanted to see the latest robotics being used at Amazon. There's more on this later in the episode.
So let's get back to our visit. We went through security. We were taken to a conference room where we waited for a bit. And also we got these little shoe things that we needed to put on while we were waiting. That's a whole nother story. But we waited a bit until a team of way more people than I expected came in to greet us.
So many.
Hey!
Welcome.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Josh. Nice to meet you, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
There were a couple of PR reps and then a number of people who ran departments in the facility.
So I'm a senior operations manager here at this site. So I run the inbound and pick departments for this building at the senior level.
I'm Jorge. I'm the site HR manager. So been in the building almost 2 years. Amazon almost 10 years.
I'm Christian. I'm the Learning Quality Operations Manager.
And lastly, Amazon's Vice President of People, Experience, and Technology, it's basically HR, Ofori Agboka.
He did make a point of saying they don't call it HR, but he did have a vest that said HR.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
And also, if you want to know who Ofori is, his was the first voice that you heard in that conference room tape just a second ago.
What was your impression of Ofori? Because he's a big personality.
He's extremely charming, which I think you'd expect given his position in the company. It felt like a little bit of like walking around town with a politician. Like he shook everyone's hand, he kissed every baby, he asked for everyone's name and how they were doing. And he's just kind of a very gregarious personality. It seems like a really good fit for this role. He came from GM before. He had over 20 years in their HR department, came over to Amazon in 2020. Before that, he was a college football player. He played on LSU, which he was wearing this big old ring from.
He let me try it on. It didn't fit any of my fingers.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, maybe a thumb, but even then, It was a championship ring or a class ring, something from. He was an LSU Tiger, big SEC
was a cool
football
ring.
team. Yeah, it's a big deal football program for those who are not college football fans. But I think wrapped up in all that charm was a very media-trained message.
Oh, yeah. Basically, the message he sort of hammered home throughout the whole tour was Amazon is a great place to work.
Yeah.
And throughout our tour, he could not stop touting how inclusive the company is.
We bring employees from all walks of life, whether it's you could be furloughed, you want to just try something different, military. You come with the desire and the will. Hey, let's work. Let's go. Let's have fun.
He also talked about the investments Amazon has committed to workers.
We're excited that this year we invested $2.2 billion in wages for our frontline workforce.
It's an investment he says is going into day one benefits for full-time employees. Those benefits include health insurance, vision, dental, and even some smaller benefits.
What we're adding in January is free Prime. So it's bigger than a discount Prime for all our employees. So
keep giving us money.
that's the Prime. That's, who knows, the cost factor isn't even added to that. So you add the Prime benefits with the free shipping and the access to all the entertainment and the video streaming. So we're excited about that for our employees.
But the main message of Fori and the Amazon team was trying to convey, to me at least, throughout the tour, was about the health and safety of their fulfillment center.
Big emphasis on reducing repetitive stress injuries. He talked about stretching sessions that they do before work, switching stations throughout the week so you aren't doing the same motions over and over again. They kept repeating the word power zone a lot about avoiding excessive. I know we're laughing, but it is a serious thing around like avoiding excessive bending and reaching and twisting. Power zone is just a funny term. It's just going to make me laugh.
It's hilarious, yeah.
So our producer, Matt, because they talked about this so much, I had our producer, Matt, put together a little supercut of how often this came up during our time out on the floor of the fulfillment center. And warning, it was very loud on the floor. I did our best to mic our tour guide and a Fori as we made our way through the conveyance, but it is a little loud. So just a warning for the tape ahead.
Look, safety is important. Proper protection equipment, PPE.
We're trying to implement things that help reduce risk of injury.
We have a safety initiative called Dragonfly.
They're on what we call a de-stuff it machine.
What we want to reduce is repetitive motion type injuries.
Being out of your power zone, having to get down directly in the power zone to be a team member.
We want to keep people in their power zone. Repetitive.
Wrist circles, neck turns, lumbar rotations, ankle rolls.
They do ergo assessments all the time. In-house injury prevention specialists actively stretch the parts of the body that you're going to be using while you're out there every morning.
My personal favorite thing that we saw was the kind of warm-up routine they had before starting work, and it basically reminded me of the beginning of PE class in middle school.
Like the president. Oh, did you? No, well, you were abroad, but maybe you did this. Like the presidential fitness test. There was I forget the exact name of it, but there was certain things that kids have to do that were like a presidential fitness assessment sort of thing. Do you remember this? Was this a thing for you?
No, I mostly remember, this was like stretching beforehand, but do you remember the bleep test?
Yes, I remember the bleep test. I think this is part of that.
Oh my God.
I loved the bleep test.
The bleep test was horrible. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I was an athletic kid, but there is an important context setting aside power zone and the silly arm circles and everything we're talking about here. There is some serious context to unpack here in terms of why there's such an emphasis placed on safety and injury prevention. And while Amazon has come under fire on a number of occasions for working conditions and treatment of workers. Just a few examples, there's a number of them. So there was a survey by the University of Illinois Center for Urban and Economic Development of Amazon employees from 2023, where data suggested that injury and pain at Amazon is far more widespread than originally thought in warehouses. There's another report by the U.S. Department of Labor, which found Amazon exposed workers to unsafe conditions and ergonomic hazards at a number of warehouses, including in Colorado, Idaho, and New York. That's from 2022 and included citations from OSHA. In 2021, there was a report from the Washington Post that analyzed OSHA data that revealed that warehouse workers suffered serious injury at nearly double the rate of warehouses run by other companies. And even just this past Friday, on Black Friday, there were strikes across more than 20 countries by Amazon workers to protest working conditions and pay equity at Amazon fulfillment centers like this one.
All this to say, there is a good reason why the team we met at Amazon was hyper-focused on highlighting worker safety initiatives. The HR people emphasized Amazon Robotics' role in ensuring worker safety during the tour, and they claim that this is because these robots will replace or augment more labor-intensive tasks. Let's jump back into our tour. We'll get into more about this later. Ofori and the team took us upstairs to see where they sort and pick items.
We'll step into the station right here.
The first robots we saw were called Proteus, and yes, Amazon has a lot of kind of grandiose names for their robots, but Proteus robots operate in a giant fenced area, and they basically look like giant Roombas driving around big stacks of items.
The system actually knows where to send totes. I can specifically tell a tote to come to what station, but what's really unique about all the UI that happens in here, the AI, is that when I scan a tote, what happens in the background, when you scan a tote, all of the size and weight information gets registered in the system. We have a back-end system that's going to then assign pod faces to the employee that best match the units that are in front of them. So it's not a guessing game. Everything's done very intentionally from both the balance of inventory, but also make sure that we present the right pods to the right size items. When the pod shows up, the team member will be, you see this green dot on the sled here? That is telling you that this pod face, that tote has the best unit that should fit inside of this pod face. When you scan that unit, a white light will pop up on the face itself and recommend what bin to put it in. So there's a lot less decision making that has to happen. It's very simple for our teams to be able to get it in there and again, drive quality assurance.
I thought Proteuses were kind of cute.
Kind of cute. I mean, they were massive, zipping around robots. Or it was kind of insane. I mean, it's really impressive. Maybe I'm naive at this point, but I am still really just like kind of like a little kid with robotic stuff. It's
totally.
just something where I see it and I'm like, wow. Look at the
like,
robots.
The future is now.
There are hundreds of these robots and these huge totes stacked on them, just zipping around. And like the traffic control of this alone was incredibly impressive.
And traffic control is all done through generative AI as well.
Yeah.
These pods that you're stowing in, they're roughly the size of a taller industrial refrigerator, like 10 feet tall. And it looks like they're on a fixed kind of pathway in there. They move at right angles. Is that correct?
So this is a great call out. So how the floor works, it's tough to see, but you can see there's a little QR code. We call them fiducials. Each one of those barcodes is given a dollar value. Very interesting how we assign a dollar value to it. But the back-end system will say from storage to pod, what is my cheapest route to that location? And it will follow that route. And it does. It moves at 90-degree angles. The robot itself can actually spin the pod before it presents it here to make sure it's giving you the right base. And then it goes and takes it back into storage. And all these can travel freely underneath of all the storage containers so that way they can pick up exactly what they need.
So after that, we went back downstairs to see another one of the robots called Robin. Now, the Robins look a little bit more like how I imagined robotics would look in a shipping warehouse.
All right, so this is a Robin. We talk about efficiency. This is not a very fast process, but it's effective. It's improving quality assurance. So what's happening here is packages come through this collector, they divert down this chute, and they're fed in front of the machine here. This machine has, I think, 4 or 5 different cameras on it that can see the label no matter where it's placed.
And it looks like a big claw.
Yes. Well, so these are actually suction cups. Oh. Yeah, they're suction cups. So we don't damage the product at all when we're picking it up. It's all air suction cups, and it only applies suction to the parts of the cup that need it to try and reduce wear and tear on the cup itself.
Okay, let's stop here. By this point in the tour, we've seen just about all of their process, and our ears were ringing from all of the noise around us, as I'm sure yours is from listening to this tape. There's 18 football fields worth of conveyor belts, 1 million packages inbound every single day and a surge coming for the holidays goes through one of these fulfillment centers. But the elephant in the room when it came to robotics and AI everywhere is how many jobs could this technology eliminate? We tried to get in touch with Amazon union organizers to ask what they think about the robotics at the warehouses. By the time of recording, we haven't gotten to speak to them about it, but we found an NBC News clip a year ago with an Amazon employee, Christine Mano, talking about the tech.
I just really feel this is Amazon's attempt to focus their attention away from those of us that have been injured and are fighting to get medical care and fair wages and safer working conditions. I wish they would spend their money in just making it a safer place to work for the rest of us, you know, those of us that need jobs and need a paycheck, you know, rather than coming up with technology that could push some of us out the door.
So we wanted to learn a little bit more about job creation or lack thereof, safety or lack thereof, and tech at the Amazon warehouses. That's why we spoke to Ty Brady, Amazon Robotics chief roboticist, a few days after our tour of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. But before we get to that conversation, we're going to take a quick break. After touring the facility, we wanted to know if robotics at Amazon would make working conditions at Amazon warehouses safer, but we also wanted to know if they're going to take away human jobs. To find out more, we chatted with Ty Brady, the chief technologist for Amazon Robotics. We discussed how robotics is transforming our shopping experience and what it means for the future of Amazon warehouse employees. So when we toured the warehouse, we saw a bunch of robots called, and I gotta say, you guys went really grandiose with these names. Proteus, Titan, Hercules. There was also one that made custom packaging. I don't know if that has a name. Tell us about those. Tell us about the sort of big robotics projects in warehouses and how employees work with those robotics.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. I definitely stand by the idea that we put people at the center of our robotics universe, right? It is a system of people and machines working together in order to increase our productivities, the efficiencies, and also increase the safety for our folks. So it really is people and machines working together. And let me give you a few of the big ones that we just rolled out in our latest next generation fulfillment center down in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's really exciting to see all these in concert with each other and also returning value, right? So we have a large storage cell that we call Sequoia, and these are containerized goods. All the goods that folks are getting ready for the holidays, we will store those by the millions in a fulfillment center, and we can move those goods on demand using AI systems to actually bring the goods to our pickers, to our stowers, to folks that will actually pack these items out. And this is maybe 3,000 or 4,000 robots in concert with each other, working together in order to bring the world's largest selection of goods for our customers. We're working on a world-class capability when it comes to movement of objects, when it comes to the manipulation of objects, the sortation of objects, the storage of objects, the identification of objects, and the packing of those objects. That's what we aim to do. We have really acquired quite a skill, and when you start to put those foundational elements together, you get things like our Sequoia systems. You get to see things like our Proteus drive. I don't know if you saw that, the cute little green drive, like kind of with the eyes, that works collaboratively around people. And its job is to move these big parcels of goods, these containers of goods to our outbound dock in a very safe and efficient manner right around people and allow people to direct where they should go and allow them to do the menial, the mundane, and the repetitive work.
We went to the fulfillment center, and it's hard to understate how enormous that these facilities actually are. And a lot of the robotics and the machinery in there, I think they said there was like 18 football fields worth of conveyance in the fulfillment center. I mean, how much are you really just thinking about, like, we need to cover space as much as anything when we're talking about robotics?
It's a great observation, and we have some really giant buildings as well. We have up to 3 million square feet. That is a lot of football fields for sure.
That's all the square footage.
We also have smaller buildings that we like to bring the goods as close to the customer as we possibly can. We know that when we do that, we can fuel the faster delivery times that our customers love. We know that when we do that, we can also pass along a low cost to our customers. And our whole aim in robotics is really those three key elements: world's largest selection of goods, low cost for our customers, and the ultimate customer convenience. That's what we do with our robotics. So we'll scale our buildings to any size. Now, the trick in robotics, of course, is it's not a one size fits all. So we build our systems to be modular, adaptable, right, to the environment that we have, working around people, irregardless of the scale. And that's something that's hard to do. So a lesson I learned a long time ago, that if you can do something very well, it should be able to scale.
Mm-hmm. Amazon is sort of marked by an obsession with customers, right? But I am curious about your obsession with employees. You know, when we toured the MTN One fulfillment center, there was so much emphasis placed on reducing the risk of injury. And I'm curious how robotics help that, or if they do.
Yeah, they really do help that. In the last 4 years, where we really doubled down on automation with this mindset of putting people at the center of the robotics universe, we have reduced our recordable injury rate by over 30%, okay, in the last 4 years. And that's with increased productivity, increased efficiency, that we're continue to create a safer environment for our employees. It is people and machines working together in order to achieve a task. So we can focus, and I can talk to you about the robotics and the amazing things that we're doing in robotics, but that's not even half the equation. The majority of the equation is how do we extend, augment, and amplify our employees' experience, right? We want them to work in this amazing environment.
How much of that comes out of direct feedback from your employees? How do you get that feedback, and how do you apply that?
We insist that we hear directly from our employees of the good things that are working and the things that aren't working for them. And the quirky thing, perhaps in Amazon, but it's the part that I really love, is that you're not allowed to change a single word in what a person says. There's no editing of what they say. Well, we want it to be very frontline so that we can be responsive and really try to understand the issue that is in front of us. That burden is on us to make sure that we're listening. But also, as roboticists, I can tell you there's no such thing as 100% automation. I can tell you that when we roll out these large systems, that we need people to understand the big picture context. We need people to understand why is it not working and how can we make that better. So we will go on site as well. Our amazing women and men who do this pioneering work in robotics every day, especially during the holidays here, they'll be on site and they'll see these systems in action. And what they're really looking at is this edge between people and how they're using their machines. Is it really helping them? Because if it's not, we're going to hear about it. And if it's not, we're going to see it. And if it's not, we're going to fix that.
You know, you talked about robotics reducing some injuries. I think you had a kind of an amazing stat by 31%. I will say very high amount of injuries before then. But can you give me an example of that? Can you give me an example of a robot that has really helped reduce a certain type of strain?
I don't think we really had a really high amount of injuries. I really don't. When you look at the volume that we do and the number of employees that we employ in our workforce, hundreds of thousands of people in operations, I actually don't think that there's an exception there. I think when we actually look at the numbers and you really dig down into what a recordable injury is or long-term injury, I think it's even undeniable that you can see how automation has really helped with that. Let me give a specific example. So the first is I'm unabashedly proud of this statement that we will eliminate every menial, mundane, and repetitive task. That is the goal. Because when it becomes repetitive, there can be injury, right? And those are the injuries that we see. It's like a repetitive stress. So if I have to pick up a big, heavy box and move and twist and do that all day, first of all, that's kind of a menial job. And secondly, we can have variable weights up to 50 pounds inside some of our boxes. So we have systems like Robin, which is a robotic induct, that can automatically pick up heavy boxes and move them into our sort bots. We have a system, another bird called Cardinal, that can pick up a variety of heavy boxes, look for damages as well for the boxes, and then play the ultimate game of Tetris and put them into these containers that we move into out of trucks. And probably one of the best examples where we're getting immediate signals right now is our latest storage solution that we call Sequoia. It is a containerized storage system where it's a goods to person, right? So instead of a person walking miles to go get the goods and then putting it into a cart, and then they get another good and they go into a cart and they bring it all the way back and they pack it out, we turn that on its head with robotics. And we said, well, what's a better way? And what we do is that we actually move the goods on demand. So you go on to Amazon.com, we figure out what building it is in, and then at just the right time, we'll move the right pod of goods that actually has your order inside it, and we'll bring that to a person, eliminate the walking. And then what Sequoia does, and this is an improvement of the way that we had it before, what Sequoia does is that it actually presents the tote, the container, in the Goldilocks zone, we call it. A Goldilocks zone is that the ability to pick an item that is right just about waist high. Everything is presented right to the person in front of them so they can pick the right item out of the toy box, if you want to think of. There's a whole bunch of different items that we have inside this, right? That container goes back into the system. The item gets passed down to be packed out. So where's the big savings there? Well, a person doesn't have to actually get on ladders, reach down on their knees. They don't have to pick up heavy boxes. They don't have to do repetitive turns. And then, I'll maybe even save the follow-up question. It's like, well, what happened to those people that were doing those jobs? They're doing so many other things inside of our buildings, right? They're understanding that with a higher focus of how flow of material should happen inside the jobs. They're commanding their own fleet of robots to do the job, and they're overseeing it as a supervisor. We're creating new jobs for people to actually work on the robotics and to maintain the robotics.
It sounds like those new jobs that you're creating require maybe more skills. And I know that Amazon offers some free training. How many unskilled jobs do you think you're going to eliminate, in the next 5 years? And how many skilled jobs do you think you're going to create as technology improves?
I don't view it as eliminate jobs, but I do see jobs changing. And it's really important that we really, as a society, pledge to upskill our employees. The age of generative AI is here. We need to invest in our employees. We see that. We see change. As you walk through the buildings, for example, I'm sure you saw a lot with your own eyes of these menial, repetitive jobs, right? The mundane, the monotonous jobs. I want to eliminate the tasks, but I want to repurpose the people to do other things inside the building. So with that, you have to have a pledge. You have to be committed to upskilling your employees. And I'm super proud of the fact that we've committed more than $1.2 billion in our 2025 upskilling pledge, right? That's for over 300,000 employees inside of our network. They get prepaid tuition. We'll do career choice, a program, I should say, right in our fulfillment centers where those that are interested in technology or actually anything in their career, we will help pay for, and we'll help bring that education to them. Another program that we do that is actually really exciting and has taken a lot of interest is our robotics apprenticeship program. So as people become more familiar with these systems that we are rolling out every day, people actually want to work more with them, and they want to understand how they work. So in one way that we can do this is through our robotics apprenticeship. And when they do that, not only do they scratch their curiosity, but they also get a significantly higher pay.
I want to talk a little bit about a partnership you have with Agility and the Digit humanoid robot. Where are you with that now? And what are you looking to do through that partnership?
Yeah, it's a partnership with Agility to understand really bipedal motion. Remember I said the foundational capabilities that we have, one of them is movement, and to understand the various forms of movement. We have the world's largest fleet of industrial mobile drives out there. We have more than 750,000 of our drive units out there working each and every day. They're on wheels. What could we do with a bipedal movement? We're learning. We are a very experimental company for sure. We love to test and try new things. So we're learning what bipedal can do for us.
With all of the automation, I know there's some estimates out there in terms of what job loss could be around this. And then this idea of a humanoid robot that walks around. I think anyone listening to this could be pretty skeptical about claims that Amazon isn't trying to replace workers. We talk about this customer obsession that Amazon has. Being lower priced, well, at some point, are these robots going to be more cost effective than some of your human employees? Like, at some point, those are in conflict there. So, I mean, with this program specifically, with the Digit humanoid robot, what would you say to those skeptics around your claims of not wanting to replace workers?
Sure. More robots, more jobs. We have the data that proves that since I've joined the company. If you continue to track how many of these robotic systems that we're deploying, for example, in Shreveport, we have 10 times the amount of robotics that we've ever put in any one building. We're creating new jobs. We've created hundreds of thousands of new jobs because of our productivity due to robotics, of how we're framing our relationship between people and machines that is symbiotic, that they work together, right? So when you reframe your relationship with people at the center of the robotics universe, when you think about it in that light, then what you're doing is that you're extending human capability. And when you extend human capability, it allows you to be more productive. And when you're more productive, for us, the value is very simple: low cost, the world's largest selection of goods right to the customer's door, that you then gain revenue. And when you gain revenue, what you do is you invest in two areas: your robotics, so that they can help people, and the second is in people themselves. When you do that, you're actually creating new jobs. So, for example, for those skeptics that are out there, and I understand, and believe me, people see bipedal or humanoid form robots and they freak out a little bit. I understand that. But when you do it well, it blends seamlessly into the background. When you do it well, you're just using technology for you to do your job better, and we can also create a safer environment while you're doing that job. So that allows you to be more productive. So in robotics alone, since we really invested in robotics, we've created more than 700 job categories, just job categories related to robotics. These are new jobs that we never thought of before. It's like nobody thought of a social media coordinator 30 years ago, right? Jobs change. Technology will enable new jobs that are coming. So we do that, and we put people at the center of our robotics universe. But I get it. I get the skepticism.
How many of those new jobs require college degrees or specific degrees in engineering and computer science?
When we do our job well, it's all encompassing. We hire many folks from community colleges. We hire folks right out of high school. We hire folks with PhDs in robotics. Like, it is all encompassing when you think about productivity in your particular sector. Now, I totally understand the skepticism, again, with humanoid robots. And it is one of the major reasons that we launched a study with MIT this year. And it was a really groundbreaking study where we wanted to understand the perceptions of people, of workers in the workforce, and how they perceive technology on their pay and their overall well-being. We just got the study back, and there's a lot to learn from it, okay? The first is that it was very validating for our point of view when it comes to people and machines working together, because we see that when people are exposed to technology, and we see that when people have frontline experience with technology, they're more optimistic about their pay and the benefits. As a matter of fact, 60% of those folks surveyed were optimistic about the future of AI and the future of robotics.
But you're asking for people's perceptions. I guess we're asking, like,
hard numbers.
Happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, perception matters, right? Because if people start to reject the technology that they don't want to do that, then they're not going to adopt technology. And when they don't adopt technology, they're not going to be as productive. So what's going to happen, I believe, is what we've seen in the past. When you do robotics right, when you put people first in your robotic systems, it's very hard to do. As a roboticist, it's very hard to build the machine that's going to integrate into the human environment and not ask our people to integrate into the machine environment. Mm-hmm. So think of it as a tool that enables people to do their jobs better, more efficiently, more productively, and then the onus is on us to make sure that we take care of our people.
I want to talk a little bit, because we're coming up on the holiday season, about seasonal workers. So I know you have, obviously, programs where people can join apprenticeships. But when it comes to seasonal workers, they're probably not there for long enough. Have robotics changed the way you hire them or the amount you hire?
Yeah, it's a really good question. What robotics is allowing us to do is the new worker, the worker who literally walked in that door, our systems are now gaining the ability to kind of upskill them faster, allowing them to interact with the systems. They're a lot simpler for people to use. And when they use them the right way and efficiently, then it's a win all the way around for our customers. But it's always hard to predict the growth that we have. Last year, we had a record season. We had to prepare ourselves for a record season. And our employees that walk through that door, they're ready to go, and we have our robotic systems that will help them. And then we also have another upside, even for this temporary workforce that's walking in, that a third of them will stay with us for long term, right? So they don't necessarily have to go. If they're really enjoying the job, if they really are sharing our mission and vision as well, then they stay around.
You mentioned earlier the Shreveport Fulfillment Center, which has 10 times more robotics and AI, I think, than other centers. Is that the best way to describe it?
That's right, yeah.
What are the most exciting things coming out of there?
It's really exciting that, first of all, we can create 2,500 new jobs in Shreveport. Those are 2,500 brand new jobs. And we're seeing the mix of jobs actually increase towards the apprenticeship side, the technical side as well. And we're upskilling our employees there to further extend their education and their learnings and their own curiosity and taking their own career growth there. So I love that when we go down and see it. That's the people side. The technology side is also, this is our first real next generation building where we're bringing all of these individual products together under one roof. And to see them integrated is both super exciting and also super challenging, right? You think that you understand your system, and we do, but when you put that in a system of systems, you have your own interfaces and your own boundaries to understand how to move those goods, how to identify those goods, how to sort those goods quickly and efficiently while also creating a great customer experience and a great employee experience. That's what we're learning right now. We are an experimentalist company. But what we're seeing is the following ROI. We're seeing immediate ROI. When we pull these systems together, we're seeing a 25% faster order fulfillment. So as compared to our other buildings, we think that we can get the goods to you through that building 25% faster.
Do we need packages that fast? Listen, I order a bunch of stuff on Amazon. Everybody does. I order next day shipping. Sometimes I've ordered stuff and it gets there the same day. That's an incredible feat of supply chain and shipping and everything. But I often find myself thinking, did I really need that immersion blender the next day? Could I have waited 3 days?
I think that's very fair, but let me just share the other point inside of Shreveport that I bet you'll say, I'm good with that. We're also seeing a 25% what we call lower cost to serve. And what that is that's the all-in cost for us to deliver that good to you. So we can pass that lower cost on to you. So whether you need it or not, I'm going to leave that to you. But when you get it, it should be at a lower cost. And why is it at a lower cost? Is because our people and our machines are working together in order to fulfill that faster and more efficiently.
How much human error have these new robotics eliminated?
It's a system. I really can't separate the two of them, but there's things that we can do to help reduce human errors. So I'll give you a really straightforward example. Like, let's say, as we all have, of course, we have Star Wars 4: A New Hope. Let's say it's way back in the day with DVDs. We would not put the director's cut right next to the original movie because it's really prone to human error. So when you're picking those objects out or robotic systems, like, we know that those tend to kind of run into errors. I get that. When things become too complex and overwhelming, we also tend to make errors. When we ask people to move too fast and to move with speed, that usually is a bad scenario. So actually, what we try to do in our robotics is actually slow people down, let them think about the task at hand, because we're asking them to think at a higher level. We want them to have more focus on the job at hand and let the speed happen through our machinery.
One more question, which is about the environmental impact of all of this innovation. You know, we saw some things in the center that were really impressive. For instance, like the custom packaging to basically reduce the amount of cardboard used that is made by robots. But I have to believe this requires a lot of energy. I mean, it's something we talk about with generative AI all the time, which is, you know, you killed like 5 trees to make shrimp Jesus.
Yeah, right.
What does that look like?
I'm very optimistic. here. I am actually extremely optimistic. The first is that Amazon was the first to sign up and really invent this 2040 pledge when it comes to what we call our climate pledge. Like, we pioneered that, and we stepped up, and we take that very seriously of what we're going to do. And I give you examples. We're removing plastic inside most of our processes, right? So the air pillows that you used to see, you don't see plastic air pillows in anymore. We're going to be replacing that with 100% recyclable paper. Like, just little things, but remember, little things at the scale of Amazon are really big things. As you mentioned, having our boxes cut to size, you're like, well, what's the big deal? I'm only going to save 2 inches on a box. Well, that is a big deal when you're in the billions and billions of packages every year, right? For sure. We think about our overall power footprint when it comes to our fulfillment buildings as well, right? We're going to have renewable energy power our buildings. That's the pledge that we're on.
So that's not happening yet, but you have pledged to make it happen.
We have pledged towards, and we're seeing some really great, I'd say, momentum that way for sure. We have committed more than 100,000 Rivian electric vehicles for our fleet to get out there and do deliveries. And we're collaborating with the U.S. government of, how can we develop new materials? How can we think about recycling when it comes to our products? So it's something that I take very seriously. I'm the, father of two daughters. It's definitely what we talk about inside our house. It's something our employees take very seriously. And it's something that we're seeing in action today. And robotics can actually really help with this.
Ty, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Yaz. And thank you, Josh. I really appreciate being on the show. It was a really fun conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ty.
Okay, we are back, and it's time to wrap up the show with Keeping Tabs. This is where each one of us shares a story, trend, or piece of pop culture we're following right now. And it's just me and you, Josh.
It's a lot to live up to.
What are you?
I guess. I don't know. It's weird without a third person.
Yeah. What are you keeping tabs on?
Enron. I'm keeping tabs on Enron. Enron's back, baby. Well, no, they're kind of back. So if anyone missed this across social media platforms on X and Blue Sky, Enron started trending because there was
Do you think we have Gen Z listeners who don't know what Enron is?
Oh, I'm sure we have Gen Z because they went bankrupt 23 years ago. Our interns are younger than Enron is dead. So Enron, for those who don't know, is an old energy and commodities company. That's an important distinction. Was an energy and commodities company that was one of the fastest growing companies, this huge company, and it turns out they were having fraudulent.
Everyone was a crook.
Everyone was a crook. It went down. There's a musical based on it. There's a bunch of movies and documentaries. Look up Enron. It's basically
was there a
banking
musical?
fraud.
I thought it was just a play.
I'm pretty sure there's a musical, but it might just be a play. I'm not sure. It started on the West End.
Fine.
I never saw it.
Enron is a play. It's by Lucy Preble. Anyway.
They're back, baby. They're not actually back, but they're someone somehow got their hands on Enron.com and all of the handles on social media. And my favorite thing is they relaunched the website and with a tweet that just said, "We're back. Can we talk?" And it's basically the premise of the website is that it's such a great send up. It's a joke, everybody. It's such a great send up of corporate PR, and it's basically we're gonna solve the energy crisis and climate change through crypto tokens. I think it's basically the thing. And what the speculation is right now is that the people behind the birds aren't real performance art,
which is funny,
which is very funny, are behind this.
And
Enron.
you got a little bit duped by it because you sent it to me and you were like, "Is this real?" And I was like,
said,
"No,
this is a gag, right?"
Yeah.
I was mostly
you
convinced
had a moment.
It wasn't
you
real.
You did have a moment.
But that's kind of what makes these gags really
funny.
well.
Yeah,
is
the birds
the
aren't
seriousness.
real. You're like, is this a real organization?
Yeah, well, because it's so. If you go on the website, it's they're selling merch. It's really laid out in a way that you're like, oh, this is what a company would do if they were to come back, but in a ridiculous way. But you dig a little bit deeper, and it's okay, this is ridiculous. But it wasn't they really commit to the bit, and it's very dry, but it's very funny. Yaz, what are you keeping tabs on?
So a piece came out about that basically profiled Hunter Biden's former girlfriend.
Yeah. I sent this to you. You had already read it, to be clear.
You know what?
And then I sent it to you, and you're like way ahead of you.
I was on deadline, and I was like, sorry, I'm clearing my schedule.
It's
I
an
just read it at my
insane
desk.
article.
And I was sending screenshots to friend of the pod, Max, the whole time. Because I think Max kind of looks like Hunter Biden a little bit.
He does look a little like Hunter
It's
Biden.
like Ginger Hunter Biden. I feel like potentially has the same vibe in many ways. But I'll read a paragraph just to kind of tell you. Biden, funny, smart, and charming. A history buff who wanted to talk about Genghis Khan and Cleopatra. An artist at heart who wanted to write a great book, gave her ideas for weed slut merchandise, and listened to her read Camille Paglia essays late into the night. And an exhibitionist who loved posing for selfies as much as she did and mused about posting explicit videos of himself on Pornhub. What a legend.
Wow. That's Max Hoffberg if I've ever heard it.
Yep.
I saw that and original was like, this has to be New York Magazine. Nope, New York Times. Anyways, good for you, New York Times, for printing that feature.
And that's it for Most Innovative Companies. Our show is produced by Avery Miles, Blake Odom, and Mariam Kiparoidze. Editing is by Matt Toder, mix and sound design by Nicholas Torres, and our executive producer is Josh Christensen. Remember again to subscribe, rate, and review, and we will see you next week.